again. I don't know why I'm waving this quite so much. Happy Wednesday, folks. Welcome to our me, or you, yoga club. Again, in the UK, it's been quite the week. What with one thing and another, quite a weird week, I think. And I think we touched on it last week, and I think we have to remind ourselves that it's okay to feel a bit weird at the end of what's been going on for the last 10 days. Because whether you are a fan of the Queen and monarchy, any big world events like that can inevitably bring up stuff for us, I think. Thoughts of, bereavement or loss or change, and all of this stuff about impermanence and how we deal with those similar scenarios that come up on our yoga mat. All of this stuff holds up a bit of a magnifying glass, doesn't it, to life in the real world. So with that in mind, as ever, be kind to yourself in your practice tonight, even if you're not kind of consciously aware of having been affected by any of it. Any opportunity to be kind to yourself, we should embrace. I'm waving this block around to remind myself to tell you that if you have one handy, grab it for your practice this evening. As ever, if you don't, that is fine, but get a folded cushion or something. We're going to do the squeezing between thighs again. Spoiler. So something that just gives you a bit of awareness into that space. And obviously you can use it as props as well if you've got them. So now is the time to grab one of those if you do not have one close by. So we're going to look again, we're going to build on and revisit some of the stuff we did last week. If you weren't here for any reason, that's fine, don't worry about it. And we were kind of touching on what makes a strong practice. You hear, a phrase in yoga quite a lot is, "Oh, that's a strong practice," which generally means it's quite physically challenging. There could be some arm balancing, there could be inversions, there could be a lot of flinging yourself around in all different planes of motion. Don't panic, because that's not the kind of practice that we are going to do or build on tonight. Because again, when we think about off the mat and on the mat stuff, what is it to be strong? Strong can be stopping. Strong can be resting, knowing when to rest. Strong can be knowing when to ask for help and knowing when to ask for support. So strong doesn't necessarily mean muscling on through and powering on through and proving how tough you are, etc. Strong, particularly on a yoga practices, can mean a whole different kind of things. And for some of us, being strong today is just having the dedication to get on your mat, just busting out a couple of sun salutations or sitting still in mindfulness for 5 minutes. That sometimes takes as much strength as we can muster. Getting out of bed to spend half an hour, 20 minutes on your yoga mat instead of pressing the snooze button. All of that makes a strong practice. It's why it's called a practice. And we have to remember that the practice does not just relate to the bendy stuff we do on the mat. Strength also, of course, has a lot to do with what goes on between our ears. So it is that dedication to get up off your mat and have a go. And when we think about strength in our practices, all of this self-awareness stuff comes back to what we have been talking about and pressing the pause button and tuning in and noticing what we feel. And if you don't feel strong in your practice, whatever that means for you, then of course, that's totally fine. Whatever you are feeling allow it to be felt, allow it to move through you. You know, we talk again about flow. We use our practices to tap into the flow of our thoughts and the body and the breath and the prana. So anything that we do to try and kind of stop that flow or muscle our way into flow, it's not going to work. Flow in itself is not something that can be forced. We have to find the stillness and the pause. Again, weird contradiction. To get into flow, we have to know what we are feeling to know if we are feeling strong. A lot of stuff to think about. As ever, if none of that resonates with you whatsoever and you are just here to ease your lower back after a day of sitting like a hunchback over your desk, totally fine. Remember that you are taking care of your body. We said it before, working with compassion and kindness is compulsory. So if something doesn't feel good in your body, don't do it, don't push it, don't force it, don't insist. If anything comes up for you sort of regularly, in as much as when I do X, Y always hurts, of course, ask me, hang around on the call afterwards, drop me an email, whatever. We can perhaps modify things to help with that. So begin to get yourself settled and find yourself into your favorite Shavasana shape. So we are starting lying down. And of course, if that doesn't feel good for you, then you can sit up. But I invite you to lie down so that we get straight into stopping before we start. So we get straight into emptying out before you fill up, before you begin. So get yourself settled on your mat. And of course, if lying flat on your back doesn't work, you can bend your knees. You can have your hands on your belly. You can have your hands down by your sides. And if you get into a shape and in a few breaths, that shape isn't working for you, remember you can get out of it. You can move and get into a place that's more comfortable. Just do it mindfully. So, all of that being said, once you feel like you are settled, let your eyes gently fall closed. And then take a big breath in through the nose. And sigh it out with a nice big breath. Good. At least 2 more breaths like that. Breathing in through the nose, sighing out through the mouth. And with each out breath, feeling that feeling of kind of emptying out, of letting go, even if you don't know what it is you could be letting go of, even if you don't consciously know what that is, try and feel like there could be a letting go of something going on. And then just let your breath settle. If it wants to be deep, let it be deep. If it wants to be shallow, let it be shallow. And begin to get a sense of arriving into this space and into this time. Allow all those different strands of who you've been during the day, allow them to kind of all come back to you now, as if you were sort of knitting yourself back together. All the roles that you've played, all the things you've been doing, all the versions of you that you have been, all of those different parts of you come together now and come into here into this moment. And as you get a sense of arriving, kind of looking at yourself from above, metaphorically and literally, notice how you feel as a whole. So notice generally what kind of mood you're in. Notice what your energy levels are like. And remember, there's no right or wrong answer to any of this. I just want you to tune in and notice. As you begin to settle, as you begin to start the practice, you might like to consider what being strong means to you. Are there elements of strength that you could use your practice, your asana practice, to investigate a little? And I don't think that necessarily means physical strength. And remember that being strong is not to the detriment of softness or calmness or vulnerability or indeed flexibility. They are not mutually exclusive on the mat or off the mat. Consider that strength is relative. Strength is personal, and it's impermanent and always changing, like anything that we feel. It comes, it goes, we can't hold on to it however hard we try. It's just another kind of element of flow that we can be in. So take a moment. We've started thinking about thoughts, but begin to now be a little more mindful of your thoughts. So rather than considering things, now see if you can start that process of actually stepping back from your thoughts. Rather than being the generator of the thoughts, begin to position yourself as the interested observer of them. So we just begin to tune in objectively to what's going on in that space between your ears this evening. Can you find that position of watching the thoughts come and watching them go? Can you begin to cultivate the practice of realizing that you are not your thoughts? Because you can sit and watch. You don't have to participate. Much easier said than done, I realize. I think particularly when it comes to thoughts of being strong and what's expected of strength. But for now, simply tuning in to the thoughts coming and going, building that practice. So we take a moment to notice mind, and we take a moment to notice body. Tuning in to physical sensations by starting with your awareness up at the top of your head, and then taking 30 seconds or so just to scan down, noticing physical sensations, noticing perhaps where there's any tension or tightness, and not necessarily trying to stop that or change it or control it, but for now just tuning in, taking stock of where you are and where you're starting from. Once your awareness has reached the tips of your toes, as you've noticed mind, as you've noticed body, begin to notice your breath. So take your awareness to wherever you can most easily feel rise of inhale and fall of exhale. Where you can feel cool air coming in and warm air going out. And just notice that natural flow of the breath. The peaks and the troughs. And just see if you can connect to those moments of pause within the breath. Here we are in our little yoga club, pressing the pause button on all the other stuff. And on a micro level, we can find that moment of pause in every breath. We can find that opportunity to connect. So notice the moment of stillness at the peak of the inhale and the moment of stillness at the end of the exhale. The pause within the flow. And you don't need to exaggerate that or work hard at it or again force it or try and muscle in on it. Just allow it. Keeping that awareness of your breath, place one hand on your belly, one hand up in your heart space or on your sternum, your breastbone, and set your intention for your practice. So consider how you want to feel as you move through the poses. Consider how you want to feel when you step off the mat and go back into your day. Consider what you need the practice to do for you this evening. But with one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart, try and not go with the head. Go with what your gut is telling you, or go with what your heart is telling you, so that you are kind of tapping into your own internal flow to tune into what you really need. Once you have set your intention, remain open-minded to the other good, positive, groovy stuff that may well come along. Then you can gently blink your eyes open. Stay where you are on your back. Just begin to bring a little bit of movement into the body. So bring the knees up into the chest, give them a little hug, give them a little squeeze. Take a little roll around from side to side, back and forth a little, just to give the back a little massage, even out any tightness that could have snuck in whilst you were on the floor. So one of the things we can consider in bringing strength into our yoga practice is not doing hard poses. I mean, that's one way of creating a strong practice. But hard doesn't always mean good. Hard can sometimes mean that actually we have to spend more time sitting and watching other people do the practices than doing the practice ourselves. And sitting and watching other people doing the practice, there's very little that's hard about that. So building what we did last week, like I say, we're going to just look at tweaking some poses to make them a little different. For some bodies, that might make them more challenging. For others, not so much. But I encourage you to try some of these things in your own practice and just think, you know, if I change one thing, what more can I bring to this pose? What more can I get out of it? What new things can I tap into? So in my practice, I've been playing around with using hands or not using hands. That will become more clear as we go along, hopefully. But so this is a little bit of a kind of Meg's experiment insight. So brace yourselves. Anyway, bring the knees up if you haven't, if they're not still up, and then take them to the floor. Take your feet about mat width apart. Arms can be down by your side. I quite like to have cactus arms on the floor, so kind of bent elbows, because I am always tight across the front of my chest. So any opportunity just to open the space up there a little bit, I try and take. And then very simply, you're going to keep the feet wide, but just let the knees drop from side to side. So you just make a kind of zigzag shape with the legs. Slow, mindful movements. And sometimes we hold this pose by putting the foot on top of the thigh. But I don't want to do that. I don't want us to muscle or force our way into this version of the pose. Sometimes that can be a nice thing to do. Sometimes not so much. What you can do, if you have your block handy, sorry, I should have said have it handy at the beginning, is next time your knees are over to one side, put your block under the knee or the thigh of either leg or both legs. Again, you can have a little play and see how this works in your body. Sometimes it feels good to have it on the outside leg. Sometimes it feels good to have it on the inside leg, and it can take a bit of faffing, to be honest. So this is why you might want to practice it in your own practice. And rather than using the leg to pull the other leg down, so normally we would put right foot up on left knee like that and kind of draw it down into the floor. Instead, see how it feels to push the thigh down into the block rather than have it pulled down by the foot. And you might just feel that kind of activates interesting stuff through that leg. Couple of breaths here. Have a little experiment with putting the block maybe on the outside leg. And imagine that, try and push the leg down into the block. Couple of breaths. So you can feel you're still getting a stretch. You're still activating the thing that you are stretching, but just in a slightly different way. Bring the knees back up to center and then have a go on the other side. With your block or your cushion or a big book, it can even be. Again, you can have a little experiment as to whether it feels better for you or putting the block on the outside leg and encouraging the stretch through the inner thigh there, or putting the block somewhere underneath the thigh of the right leg and pushing the leg down towards the block. And it just gives you a kind of an immediate feedback, really, as to what you're switching on, what you're activating. You can have the block higher or lower. And it's just a different way of of incorporating kind of strength and activating the muscles without forcing and pulling. A pushing down using the muscles is very different than a pulling down using that other leg. If you like it, play with it in your own practice. If you don't, we'll never speak of it again. So release that, bring the knees back up, and then bring the knees up into your chest. Without your hands, keeping the knees up and together. This time, just let them drop over towards the right. Just before they touch down, inhale, bring them up. And exhale, take them to the other side. And again, just before they touch down, inhale, bring them up. Exhale, slowly down the other way. And just keep doing that, taking the knees slowly from one side to another. Now, of course, because we are not letting them touch down, we are adding a little bit of strength training here because we're activating the things that are moving them. So it's more strength building, perhaps less stretching. But again, play with it, see how it feels. And then next time you are over on one side, let's go right, I'm gonna go right side, stay there. So now we can just let it be a very gentle twist. Remember, you're just warming up, so don't try and force that left shoulder blade to be down on the floor. But again, think of, rather than pushing anything down, take your right hand onto your left thigh or somewhere around the left knee. And instead of pulling the legs down into the floor, put a little bit of downwards resistance onto the legs, but push the left thigh up into your right hand. Now, it's not going to move. You're not fighting with yourself. But again, you're just kind of activating something in a slightly different way. And you may feel that as you push left thigh up into right hand, it actually allows the left shoulder, the left scapular shoulder blade to drop down a little. And this doesn't have to be a constant pressure. With the inhale, you could push the two together. Exhale, release. Inhale, push hand into leg, leg into hand. Exhale, release a couple of times and just see how that feels. Then release it, bring the knees back up to center with the inhale. Exhale, drop them over to the other side. So again, you might let them settle for a moment. Your right arm can do whatever it wants to do. If the right shoulder blade isn't on the floor, don't worry about it. Left hand rests on the right leg. And then just have a little play with imagining you are trying to push that right thigh up into the left hand. And the left hand is just gently resisting. It's not pulling it down or forcing it down. It's just giving it, again, that kind of immediate feedback of something to connect with. And as you push that right thigh up into the left hand, you may feel that the right shoulder blade actually can descend down to the floor a little more. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. And again, you can kind of switch this action on and off with the breath. So inhale, push leg into hand, push hand into leg. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, push. Exhale, let it go. And again, you can experiment with where on your leg you put the hand. Maybe it's closer to the knee, more to the middle of the thigh, closer to the bum. Just suggestions to try and bring a little bit of strength training in a different way. Good, and then inhale, bring yourself back up to center. One more leggy, twisty thing, and then we'll make our way off our backs. So quite often from here, we bring the right ankle up and put the right ankle onto our left knee. So we do a kind of reclined half pigeon. And then we bring the left foot up and we hold around the back of the left thigh, which is all well and good. But here's something to try just a little bit different. So both feet flat on the floor. Without using your hands, bring the right foot up, take the right ankle over to the left knee. If that's already enough for your right hip, stay there. But without using your hands, lift the left foot up off the floor and just use the leg to draw both legs in towards you. Then gently place the left foot down, place the right foot down. Mindfully pick the left foot up, place the left ankle across on the right knee. Without using the hands, pick the right foot up off the floor Gently squeeze it in towards you. Exhale, place it down. Gently put the left foot down. And just mindfully do that a few times without going on to autopilot of using the hands to squeeze in the leg. Now, of course, like I say, this will build in a little more strength. So you're using core muscles. It becomes more strength than just stretching the outer hip. Sometimes it's good to have that. If there's any pain in your knee, remember to back off. And as you're doing this, remember to notice if there is other stuff getting involved that doesn't need to get involved. So as you bring the knee up, make sure that the jaw isn't clenching, the face isn't tightening, and that you can still breathe. Once you feel like you've done each side about the same number of times, place the right foot on the floor. Good. Let's take our friendly block and put it between the thighs or your cushion or whatever you've got. Remember, this is the more obvious strength training bit now. But again, remember, it's small movements and it's subtle movements. So the natural curve in your lower back, you want to keep it. So you can exaggerate it first of all. Flatten out the base of your spine against the mat so you totally lose the natural curve. Then make it a really big curve so you kind of really exaggerate it. And then go somewhere between the two that feels like the natural curve of your lumbar spine. And you want to try and keep that there. Squeeze your thighs in. So you're squeezing into the block. Let the shoulders be soft. Let the hands rest down by your sides. Keep squeezing in and just lift your feet maybe an inch at most up off the floor. And as you do, you will feel your core switch on. Remember to notice what bits of you may be getting involved that do not need to get involved. And then exhale, let the feet come down, let the belly be soft, and give it a little poke to remind it to be soft. If that helps, poking your own belly helps. Again, squeeze the thighs in, keep the natural curve of the spine, just lift the feet, inch or two. The higher you lift, the easier it is. So actually, if you're masochistic, the closer the feet to the floor, the more challenging it will be. And then let the feet come down, let the belly be soft. One more time, a little move, but a strong pose. Squeeze it in, lift the feet. Check that no other bits of you are getting involved that don't need to be. Shoulders are soft, face is soft. There may be a smile on your lips whilst you squeeze the living daylights out of that block. And then let the feet come down. Take the block out for a moment. One way or another, make your way up to a seated position. Good. Cross your, lean back a little bit into your hands. Pick both feet up off the floor. Cross one shin in front of the other. Place the feet down and come to sit. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, take a little forward fold. Inhale, come back up. Lean back. Pick the feet up. Cross the shins the other way. Pull the heels in towards you as you place the feet down. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, little gentle forwards fold, maybe with a little shimmy from side to side. And again, just keep repeating that a few times. So again, taking the hands out of the equation. You can take the extra breaths out if you want. So inhale up, cross, exhale, go down. I don't need to make it fast though. So Take your time as much as you need. Cross and take it down. And again, take it up, cross, and little forward fold. Good. Now lean back, bring the knees up. Take a moment in your Navasana, your boat pose. You can leave the hands behind you or take them out. Lift the heart for 3, 2, 1. Hands behind you, soles of the feet together, knees apart. Lift the heart, little cobbler's pose for 3, 2, and 1. Good. Without the hands, bring the knees in together. Take the heels out wide. I'm going to turn so you can see what I'm doing. So your Upavishta Konasana, wide-legged forward fold. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, little forward fold. Good. Bring it back up. Bring the feet in. Take a boat pose. 3, 2, 1. Hands down behind you. Soles of the feet together. Sit up tall. Little cobbler's pose for 3, 2, 1. Bring the knees up. Take the feet out. Slide them away from you. Little forward fold. Wide-legged. One more time running through. And you can kind of thread these together anyhow, which way you want. But again, so boat pose. Just getting out of the habit of using hands to move bits of us. That sounds all kinds of wrong. Into your cobbler's pose. If you've got very nice open hips, you could be in a nice deep forward fold here. Those of us mere mortals with tight hips, just sit here waving our legs in the air. Lean back a little bit, take the feet out, slide them away, forward fold. Good. Bring yourself back in. Cross your shins, roll over your ankles and roll over your ankles and make your way onto your hands and knees. Wiggle your way towards the back of your mat so that you've got plenty of room out in front of you. And just take a little child's pose just for a moment. Let the belly be soft. Find your breath. Pause here and again, just find that connection before you start to move. Good. And then bring yourself up onto hands and knees. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog, first one. If you don't feel you're quite ready for your first downward facing dog, totally fine. Stay in child's pose for a bit. If you're in your downward facing dog, give it a slow walk on the spot. Begin to ease out through the backs of the legs. Give the hips a little rock and roll from side to side. Good. If you're not yet in downward facing dog, make your way there now. Take an inhale. Exhale, bring the shoulders forwards to a plank pose. Exhale, push back, down dog. Inhale, forwards, high plank. Exhale, back, down dog. Inhale, forwards, high plank. Exhale, back, down dog. Take your right foot up in the air. Come forwards to a three-legged plank. Inhale, push back, three-legged down dog. Exhale, come forwards, three-legged plank. Exhale, push back, three-legged dog. Inhale, forwards, three-legged plank. Exhale, push back, three-legged dog. Inhale, forwards, three-legged plank. Bring the right foot down. Bring your knees down. Bring your chest down with control. Now bring your hands back as if you were going to do a cobra. So hands kind of mid-chest height. Tops of the feet push into the floor. Pull the elbows back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift the chest up, but now take your hands away from the floor. So there is no contact with the hands, but you are lifting the chest regardless. Exhale, roll down, push back, downward facing dog. Take the left foot up in the air. Exhale, forwards, three-legged plank. Inhale, push back, three-legged dog. Exhale, forwards, three-legged plank. Exhale, push back, three-legged dog. Inhale, forwards, three-legged plank. Exhale, push back, three-legged dog. Last time, inhale, forwards, three-legged plank. Left foot down, knees down, chest down. And again, set up as if you were going to do a normal little cobra. Lift the chest, but then lift the hands. They're hovering as if by magic. Exhale, roll down. Push back to your knees, tuck your toes again, downward facing dog. Then bend the knees, look at the space between your hands, bring your feet in towards it. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, push down through the feet to rise up. Exhale, pull your arms down. Good. Front of your mat if you're not there already. Very quickly, ground down through the feet. Remember how we set those foundations before we do anything else. So take a moment, lift up onto the toes and roll back onto the heels and find that sense of base of big toe, base of little toe, middle of heels, grounding you down. Everything else from there up gets lifted. So you find stillness in the feet, switch the thighs on, little lift through the pelvic floor, switch on through the belly button, lift the heart, drop the shoulders, turn the palms, top of your head lifts up to the ceiling. So we can already start bringing strength into the practice, even just here, even just by switching stuff on. You know, it's like flicking an internal little power switch or big power switch. However big your switch is, entirely up to you. But then we can add more by not adding more. So when you take your arms up, imagine that you are moving through treacle, that you are pushing out against imagined resistance. I know it sounds silly, but let's give it a go. So without doing anything else, drop the shoulders and turn the palms. Just take an inhale and an exhale. Good. On your next inhale, take it up, but take it up slowly. Imagine that there is really heavy air pushing your hands back down. And then exhale, spread the palms, and it's almost like you've got kind of big flippers on, like you're moving through water. There's effort to push the arms down. And again, inhale. Draw up through the feet and pull up through the air. Exhale. Big, fat, wide fingers pushing down through the air. One more just like that. Inhale. Drawing up through imagined resistance. Exhale. Pull it down. Good. We'll go a little quicker, but we'll add on. Inhale. Take your arms up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up. Take away the support of your hands. So lift your elbows up or reach the arms back. Lift the chest a little. Use your whole back body. Exhale, fold down. One more time. Inhale, halfway up. How can you make it really strong? Exhale. Fold down. One more like that. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, this time come all the way up through that sticky, thick air. Exhale, pull the arms down. Good, we're going to the floor with the next one. Inhale, pull up through the air. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up, activate your back body. Exhale, hands down, feet back, come to your high plank. Bring your knees down, bring the chest all the way down. Little locust this time, hands go back, palms turn down. Lift the front of the chest, suck your arms in towards your side, lift the backs of the hands up towards the ceiling, then lift the feet up as well for 3, 2, and 1. Hands down, push back, downward facing dog. Down dog or child's pose, of course, if that's better for you. Now, we're going to use that kind of imagined resistance again. It's almost like story time. You've got to use your imagination, kids. So imagine that you have your heels are being pulled down into the earth by really thick elastic bands. And with your next inhale, really pull those heels up away from the floor as high up as you can. And then the elastic's going to change and it's now up in your hips. So slowly let the heels drop back down, again, as if through that imagined resistance. Inhale, slowly push the hips up. Exhale, slowly push the heels down. Twice more. Inhale, slowly up. Exhale, slowly down. One more. Inhale, slowly up. Exhale, bring it down. Nice. Bend your knees. Look at the space between your hands. Now, you can either just get the feet into it, or, again, for a little bit of fun, stay up on your tippy toes and try and tiptoe your feet in towards the hands. Now, you want to keep the hands cemented to the floor as much as you can and tippy toe the feet in as close as you can. Inhale, halfway up, make it strong. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, push down to rise up. Exhale, pull down through that thick air. Another one like that. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up, a strong pose. Exhale, hands down, take it back to your plank. Bring the knees down. Bring everything down with control. This time, come up onto your Sphinx pose and interlace your fingers together and make sure the elbows are just a little bit in front of your shoulders. Now, tuck your tailbone under and peel your front ribs up away from the floor. You can look down towards the mat. And then continue to peel your front body up and away from the floor until you're just on your kneecaps, but you are strongly tucking your tailbone under. And you will feel the fun in your core. I mean, I say fun. It's something very close to fun. The quivering that's going on in your core, that's pure joy right now. Pure joy. Exhale, roll yourself down. Inhale, take a little Sphinx pose. Let's do it again, shall we? Okay. Interlace the fingers and look down. Peel your front ribs up and away from the floor. Then keep peeling. So lift the front of the pelvis, lift the front of the thighs, rest just on the kneecaps, strongly tuck your tailbone, be wide and round through your upper back. Really suck those front ribs up into your body. Keep pushing down through the elbows. And then exhale, roll down. Inhale, little Sphinx. Exhale, one more time. Peel the front ribs up and away. Peel the front of the pelvis, peel the front of the thighs, tuck the tailbone, push down through the elbows, tops of the feet connected to the floor. Feel the joy quivering through your body. 3, 2, and 1. Roll down. Inhale, little sphinx. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Again, or if that's a bit much, child's pose. Catch your breath. Push the hands strongly forwards and down. Push feet strongly back and down. So, you know, strange people sometimes suggest that downward dog can be a resting pose. Yeah, like I say, strange people. I mean, I suppose it could be in as much as you're not moving, but downward dog should be far from a passive pose. You are grounding through the hands, you are grounding back and down through the feet, you are lifting in the middle. So everything is very much switched on. Another breath here. And then when you're ready, again, if you want to tippy toe in, you lift up high onto the balls of the feet. Try and keep the hands where they are and see if you can tippy toe the feet in. And then inhale, halfway up, make it strong. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, rise up, push down. Exhale, pull the arms down, adding some lunges. Inhale, up through that sticky, thick air. Exhale, fold, soft knees. Inhale, halfway up. How are you going to use the arms? Exhale, hands down, right foot back, right knee down. Inhale, reach up, push down to lift up. Exhale, just interlace the hands behind you. Inhale, take a breath, lift the heart and get broad across the front of the chest. Good. And then exhale, release your hands either to your knee or to your hips. And again, you can have a little play and see what feels good. So just for a moment, have a little play with straightening and then rebending that front knee. Now, with the hands not on the floor, quite often we do this with hands on the floor or on blocks, comme ça. Again, more about the flexibility perhaps than the strength, which is fine. But I want you to have a play with taking away some of that support. So not having the hands on the floor. And like I said, you can either just have the hands resting gently on the thigh or up on the hips, if that feels good for you. And you can feel how you have to push down through that front foot and engage the back foot. So we're just building a little bit of strength into the pose. Good. A few more times. Take away the stability and it just makes things a little more challenging. Good. Next time you go forwards, take an inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, pull them down through that sticky air. Inhale, take them up. Exhale, down through the sticky air. Inhale, take them up. Exhale, take them down. So again, keep going. All we're doing is just adding some breath, combining some movements, using imagination and taking away a bit of the support. Good. Inhale, pause there for a moment this time. And then exhale, take your hands down. Step the left foot back. Bring knees down, everything down with control. Little cobra again. Lift the chest, lift through the front of the shoulders, then take the hands away for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale, come down, push back, downward facing dog. Take an inhale, and an exhale. Take the right foot forwards and come up into a high lunge. High lunge. Hands on your hips, or you can bring them into a prayer shape. Again, whatever works best for you. So again, you have to find the grounding here. Ground base of big toe, base of little toe, middle of heel. Hands wherever you want them to be. Take an inhale. Exhale, bend that front leg. Inhale, drive down through the foot to straighten it. Exhale, take it down. Inhale, drive it up. Exhale, take it down. Good. Keep going with your own breath. Find one thing to look at that won't move. So looking at me, probably not your best bet. But use that right bum cheek as you drive up off the floor. Make sure you are grounding through that back heel. Good. Take your arms up with the inhale. Come down with the exhale. And up through thick air. Exhale down. And up through thick air. And down. One more time, up through thick air. And exhale, bring the hands into prayer. Bend your right knee. See how much you can take your chest forwards. Shift the weight slowly and step the left foot in. Inhale. Use that kind of lift, you're already there, to go into a sort of chair pose. Exhale. Fold down. Inhale, push down through the feet, come all the way up. Exhale, pull the arms down again. Inhale, take them up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up. Use the arms to make it trickier. Exhale, hands down, left foot back, left knee down. Inhale, reach the arms up, and then again, your choice. Either put them on the thigh or onto your hips. So again, similar challenge. It'll be a little harder because we've just done this leg on the other side, but push down through that front foot and have a little play with straightening and bending. Inhale, you take it up. And exhale, you go down. And none of these moves have to be particularly big or extravagant or, you know, to your maximum range of motion. We're just trying to be mindful of the bits of us that we are using, mindful of the bits of us that don't need to get involved, and noticing how if we take away a little bit of support in a good way, we can add some strength. Next time, inhale, maybe add some arms. Exhale, pull down through that sticky air. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Probably feel it more on this side because we've just done the right leg in our crescent lunge. But you know, it's all part of the fun. She says slightly sadistically. Inhale, reach the arms up and pause there. Exhale, hands down, take the right foot back. Knees down, everything down with control. Locust pose, hands back, palms down. Lift the legs, lift the chest. Feel like you're flying for 3, 2, and 1. Exhale down. Push back to your downward facing dog. Just for a breath. Good, take your left foot forwards. Come up to your crescent lunge on this side. Now, as with all, notice I'm just hanging onto the wall, totally cheating. With all of these poses, when the balance becomes a little more challenging, you're going to find one side trickier than the other, but it's totally fine. Be ready for that. This is definitely my wobblier side. Hands into prayer or on hips, wherever you want to take them. Take an inhale, ground through the front foot. Exhale, take it down. Find what you need to switch on. Make sure the stuff like shoulders and jaw don't need to get involved. Ground through, heel, base of big toe, base of little toe of front foot, and have a good time. I'm joking. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, pull them down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, drive through the foot. Good. Couple more like that. And remember, ideally, you want to be putting in as much effort so that when we stop doing these, you'll be really glad to stop. You know where that threshold is. Inhale, take it up and pause. Bring the hands into prayer, shift your weight forwards and see, oh, not elegantly at all. See how elegantly and gracefully and with control you can pick that back foot up and place it down. Use this kind of half Utkatasana you are in. Just send the arms back. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, push down to rise up. Exhale, pull the arms down. Good. Again, inhale, reach up, grow tall. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up. Keep it a strong pose. Exhale, hands down, right foot back, right knee down. Inhale, traditional kind of lunge. Just take both arms up. Exhale, hands down. Now make your way to a warrior two pose. So right foot turns in 45 degrees, left toes are turned out. Heel is in around the alignment of arch of your back foot. Feet are grounded, thighs are switched on. Remember our alignment in this pose. Take your thumb and first finger onto the left hip, so actually onto the pelvis. When we step out like this, generally this hip scooches back underneath it. So grab that hip and pull it, well not pull it, suggest that it comes forwards and up. Try and keep that left lift through the left hip, but let the left knee bend. So you keep that little tilt in the pelvis. Back edge of back foot pushes strongly down into the earth. Inhale, take the arms straight up. Now again, against imagined resistance, make little fists as if you were pulling a bar. The bar is attached to a really big bit of elastic. So pull your elbows down slowly until they are shoulder height. Then keeping that feeling of resistance of pulling your bar down, sneak the arms out to shoulder height and zing out through each of your fingertips. Good. Feel that activity through your shoulder blades. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down. Good. 3 more. Inhale, both legs strong. Exhale. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down. 1 more. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down. Pause there, lift your left heel up off the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left heel down. Oh, that was fun. Bring your left hand and your right hand onto the hips. This time, first finger and thumb of your left hand into the hip crease. Take an inhale. Exhale into our triangle pose. Push that left hip crease back and underneath you as you pour yourself out over the left leg. Let the left hand come down towards your left shin. But instead of leaning on the leg, take the hand off the leg. What you might like to do is turn the back of your hand to the inside of your calf or shin, and just use that as a little bit of gentle leverage to turn the chest open a little bit. And then maybe take the right arm up. If taking that bottom support away is too much, then of course put the left hand back down, put it on a block, put it on the floor. But instead of using it for support for this practice, play with using it for a little bit of gentle leverage. For 3, 2, and 1. Good. Bring your right hand onto your right hip. Bend your left knee just a little. Stay there. I'm just going to move away from my wall. So you're bending your left knee just a little. Bend the left knee so that you can get your left hand onto the floor, a big step in front of the left hand. Look at the floor, shift the weight forwards and forwards into your left leg, so much so that the right foot just miraculously floats up away from the floor. Reach the right arm up towards the ceiling, roll the chest open, and then maybe let the left fingertips float even just a millimetre or 2 away from the floor for your half moon pose. Again, just playing with that taking away of the support of the left hand. It goes better for some of us than others. Soften the left knee. Oh dear. Let the right foot gently land at the back of your mat. Bring yourself up. Find a warrior 2, just for a moment. Then windmill, both hands down, step back, high plank. Come all the way down to your belly. Inhale, little cobra. You can use the hands this time, but pull back instead of pushing down. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Pause for a moment. Take child's pose if any tightness has crept into your lower back because we've been taking the floor support away, and you may have been using back muscles. There may be a little bit of tightness there. So if a nice stretch in a child's pose would feel good right now, feel free to take it. Otherwise, from your downward facing dog, look at the space between your hands. Tippy toe, walk or shuffle, feet in towards it. Inhale, halfway up, use the back body. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, pull down through that sticky air. Same stuff, other side. Inhale, reach up through treacle. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, hands down, left foot back, left knee down. Inhale, reach up for a moment in your normal lunge. And then exhale, come to your warrior 2 on this side. Good. So, front foot turned out 90 degrees, back foot turned in about 45. So we'll just take a moment to set it up. Thumb and first finger on the front leg. Grab onto the your actual pelvis, the actual hip bone. It will normally have tucked under a little. So grab it and lift it so that you're pulling it up a little. Try and keep that lift through that front hip. Switch on both thighs and then let yourself come down to the warrior 2 shape with your legs. Take both arms up Hold on to that imaginary bar that is on that really big elastic strap, pulling down against that imagined resistance. Bring the elbows to about shoulder height. Keep that feeling of pulling down and sneak the arms out so they are zinging from fingertip to fingertip. Good. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, slowly down. Inhale, take it up. Don't lose connection with the back foot. Exhale, take it down. 3 more. Inhale, drive it up. Exhale, down. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale, down. 1 more. Inhale, drive it up. Exhale, take it down. Fun bit, lift the left heel. No, the front heel. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently place it down. Ooh, straighten the right leg. Hands onto your hips. Front, falling over again. Thumb and first finger of the front leg, instead of being on the hip bone now, go into the hip crease for our triangle pose. Take an inhale, switch both the thighs on. Exhale, push that hip crease gently back and underneath you as you pour yourself out for your triangle pose. Whilst you get your pose, maybe you can let the right hand rest, or the front hand rest on the right leg, whichever front you are. I've lost track. Maybe the other hand goes up. And again, if it feels good to do so in a nicely challenging way, take the back of the hand against the inside of the shin to just give you your chest a little bit of gentle resistance to turn against. Again, you're not forcing or insisting or pushing, just giving that point of contact from which to work off. Then bring your left hand onto your left hip. Bend the right knee so that you can take the right hand down a giant step in front. Think of shifting the weight forwards into the right leg so that the left foot can gently lift up off the floor. Maybe the left arm reaches up. Maybe the bottom hand floats a millimetre or 2 away from the floor, or maybe you have a lot of wobbling and falling over. Any scenario, totally fine. Good. Then without it all going horribly wrong, bend the front knee, let the back foot land, sort of gracefully into your warrior 2, just for a moment. Then windmill the hands down, step back into your high plank, and then all the way down to your belly. One final time. Inhale, little cobra. Pull back with the hands. Exhale, push back. This time, take your child's pose. Allow the bum to come to your heels. And do something with your arms that feels nice. So that could be reaching them behind you, could be reaching them out in front of you, could be stacking your palms and allowing your forehead to rest on a little cushion of your hands. And if child's pose isn't comfortable, if you've got your friendly block or cushion handy, if your bum doesn't go anywhere near your heels, try taking a block or cushion or whatever between heels and bum. And again, just that an added bit of support there can really help this to feel a little bit more of a restorative pose than if your bum's miles away. A couple of deep breaths here. I will stop wittering for a moment whilst you take some deep breaths. Soften the belly, breathe into the lower back. Feel how nice it feels to not be moving. Then when you're ready, bring yourself forwards and down onto your belly and make your way onto your back. Once you arrive onto your back, now is your time to once again tune in and tap into whatever your body needs right now so that it can eventually settle into its Shavasana. So it may feel like it needs a bit of a twist. There wasn't much twisting in this evening's practice, so apart from the stuff we did at the beginning. So maybe a nice reclined twist either way is what you need. Maybe a happy baby pose, maybe reclined cobbler's pose with the soles of the feet together and the knees bent out to the side. Maybe you are just totally ready for your Shavasana and you want to get in it as quickly as possible. Also totally fine. So do whatever you need now to begin to make your way towards Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. Once you feel like you're there, take a big breath in through the nose and sigh. Yeah. Good. Two more, at least two more breaths, just like that. And just as we did at the beginning, consider what you could let go with each exhale, even if you don't consciously know what it might be. Then let the breath just settle. And we've spent the practice playing around with kind of removing different types of support to encourage strength, but we've been taking away support. So now really appreciate how it feels to be fully supported. So with each exhale, as you let go, you can feel the earth rising up beneath you, fully supporting you in whatever way you need. Allow there to be no effort, no trying. As we pause here in silence for a couple of minutes, and I will let you know when it is time to move on. stay exactly as you are. Just take a moment and notice where your mind may have wandered to and bring it back. Bring it back into your body and notice how you feel. And if there is anything good there, allow it to be fully felt. Allow it to radiate up to the top of your head, down to the tips of your toes, out to each of your fingertips, as if you were marinating yourself in it. Take a couple of deeper breaths here. Still with your eyes closed, begin to wiggle fingers, wiggle toes, rotate wrists, rotate ankles, and slowly push yourself up into a seated position. You can bring one hand onto your belly, one hand onto your sternum, your heart center, or hands into a prayer. And remember the intention you set back at the beginning of our time together. Remember how you wanted to feel and breathe life back into that with a big inhale, and let it go with the exhale. Allow the corners of your mouth to lift into a smile and keep that on your face for as long as you possibly can. Namaste.